Hi guys, welcome back. I just want to take you through my road trip vacation through California. Flew into LA, went to San Diego, back up to LA and San Francisco. So when we flew into LA, the first thing we did was go to In-N-Out Burger right after we picked up the Tesla that we were renting on Turo, which I would highly recommend. Had never driven in a Tesla before, and it was completely different from any other car I've ever experienced. We were starving when we got there because it was a 5-hour flight, so I was so excited to get this juicy burger and salty fries. It was my first time trying In-N-Out. I loved it. Then we started our drive, our little trek from from LA down to San Diego. So along the way, we had a lot of sights of the Pacific Ocean, which I loved on the drive because I'm not used to seeing that while I'm driving, even though I live in Florida. But we stopped in Laguna Beach. I think that's where this is. And then we continued on our little way going down south to San Diego, which is practically in Mexico, which kind of blew my mind. And let's see, where else did we go? I think we started in Huntington Beach, stopped in Laguna Beach, but I was just amazed first day by the sight of the oceans. And actually when we got there, there was kind of a cold front coming through, so it was very, very windy, but it didn't really stop us from getting out. Anyway, this is Dana Point, I think, so another little town as you're going from LA to San Diego. So many palm trees, blue skies, and then we stopped at Torrey Pines, like right at the beginning of it as you're going south, just to kind of get out and enjoy the view. It was super windy, but I couldn't believe that there were cacti on the beach. But there's this beautiful little bridge right along the beach and along the ocean. You can see there's no one at the beach because it's windy and cold, except for us. So then we get to San Diego, and this is our Airbnb. It's the little house, like the little pool house in the corner, but the view was incredible. Mountains and Pacific Ocean. We stayed in La Jolla, but it was up in the hill. The Airbnb was pretty minimal as far as like what was offered, but it was so worth it. The location was great. The view was, you cannot beat the view. It was probably like a $5 million house that was sitting right behind us. So I think that next morning we went and got coffee at Pacific Beach. We got breakfast at a little restaurant over there. That was super good. And then we kind of started our day in San Diego pretty slowly. We just decided to go to La Jolla, and I was very pleasantly surprised to see some wildlife, which I wanted to see. I had just a couple minutes before been saying that I wanted to see some seals. So that's what you see here, is a beach full of seals. And they're so cute, guys. They are seriously so cute. And I think that they're kind of harmless. They're just like laying there. They kind of just waddle down the beach into the water. And I think it might be like mating season right now, because there was definitely some little baby seals. They're so cute. I think they're called pups, and they actually really do look like little puppies. But I loved them. I love the seals. They just like roll into the water. And they're kind of like, some of them are with like little friends or like their mom or their babies, and it's so cute. I stood there for probably like 20 minutes just like observing them. Then we kept walking just along the coast, and we saw the sea lions just a little bit of a ways down. And I obviously have the video muted, but guys, the sea lions are so loud. Like, they're like practically yelling at each other. They're all just piled right on top of each other, and I'm honestly terrified of them. I think that they would probably bite me if I got too close. But I loved seeing the sea lions and the seals. So this is just a little cave right along the shore in La Jolla. We're walking on a little trail, and then we decided to get some lunch in Little Italy in San Diego. We got these subs at this pretty authentic little shop that had all this wine, and it was like an Italian deli, super good. We brought the subs over to Coronado, which is an island right off San Diego, or maybe it's a peninsula. There's actually a pretty big military presence here. But then that evening we decided to watch the sunset in La Jolla, my first real Pacific Coast sunset. So of course I had some wine that I got from the little Italian market deli place thingy, and we just enjoyed that for the evening. And then so the next morning we woke up and we kissed goodbye to our cute little Airbnb, and then we started the drive up to LA. So we were done with San Diego at this point. We only really had a day and a half there, but then we drove back up to LA, and LA we only have a day in, but it actually wound up being way less than that, just because our drive wound up taking us so long with having to charge the Tesla and stuff. So this was Santa Monica, super cute. Tons of palm trees, just a really, really nice area. I mean, I'm used to great beaches in Florida, but I was a little impressed by some of the beaches in California, especially Santa Monica, which I know is a popular one. But it's just totally different than what I'm used to. The beaches are so big and long here, and they're right off of the street, whereas in Florida you have to kind of step down to get to them. In California, you're just driving along the road and you can stare at the beautiful Pacific Ocean. But anyway, so this is LA. It's Santa Monica, so it's a nice area of LA. And then there's a Santa Monica Pier right over there. So there's like these little roller coasters and a Ferris wheel, and we didn't have time to go on it, which I was kind of bummed about. I kind of wanted to go on the Ferris wheel, but my boyfriend didn't want to. He thought it was lame. Anyways, so loved Santa Monica, and then we decided to, I think we were going to get, or no, we actually had eaten lunch at this little Italian place. We were going to go see Hollywood, but the traffic was absolutely horrendous, and it was already getting late, and we had a reservation at a rooftop bar at 5 to go to happy hour and watch the LA sunset. So unfortunately we had to forego any of the Hollywood and Bel Air and Beverly Hills things so that we could go to our reservation, which was completely worth it. I mean, look at this beautiful sunset over the Pacific with the mountains in the background. This was in Venice Beach, which is another great area of LA. So I saw some pretty beautiful parts of Los Angeles, I will say. So now we are on to, I think this is day 4 at this point. So this is our long drive up the coast from LA to San Francisco, which you can do in 6 hours, but we were driving along the Pacific Coast Highway, so it actually took us probably about 12 hours, including the stops that we had to make to charge the Tesla, which was kind of annoying, but it's fine. So anyways, we drove through Malibu, which was super pretty. Unfortunately, I didn't get to go like up into the hills and see any cool houses, but we stopped at a little park to eat our breakfast burritos, and there was actually homeless people in the park in Malibu, which was surprising. So we stopped in Montecito, which is a really nice, wealthy area north of LA. We stopped here to charge the Tesla. We actually got out and kind of walked onto the property of some really nice hotel that we weren't supposed to. But anyways, not like we were trespassing or anything. So then we continued our drive up, and this is Santa Barbara, that we're in here, which I loved. Like, I would live in Santa Barbara. That was a beautiful, beautiful area. I loved the beach. So we're continuing our drive north, and it is super, super scenic along, I don't know if it's like US Highway 1, but it's it is the Pacific Coast Highway. And so we stopped at this pretty little lake. I just like had to get out and enjoy some of the views. This clip right here, I think, is probably one of the most beautiful from the drive that we took. Well, actually, that's not true. There's definitely more to come. But it was just crazy. Like, as we're driving north, we're along these beautiful cliffs, right along the Pacific. I mean, just the amount of mountains in this state is incredible. So here's some of those cliffs with just the calming crash of the waves along the California shore. And, you know, the sun is starting to get lower. So it actually made our drive a lot more beautiful with the sun kind of just in the backdrop. But we are slowly approaching Big Sur, which is this beautiful, huge, I think it's a state park, but it is definitely one of the most scenic places I've ever seen in our country. It's so funny, along this drive, it actually reminds me so much of like Spain and Italy and France. It doesn't even feel like I'm in the US. So here I think is Big Sur. It's like the iconic bridge that you'll see over there in the right corner. And it's just so relaxing. Like, I wish that I would have had more time to spend in this area, but unfortunately we were a little bit pressed as we were driving farther north, and we were trying to enjoy as much as we could during the sunlight. But wow, just the golden hour is definitely starting here. And so we stopped in Carmel by the sea to watch the sunset right before we went and charged our Tesla and got some random sushi at a random mall somewhere. But I mean, the Pacific Coast sunsets, you just cannot beat. So this is, I think, day 5. We are now in San Francisco. We had a cute little Airbnb kind of like in the south part of the city where there was plenty of parking, which was awesome. So for today, we are going to wine country in Napa Valley, and I am literally so excited. I freaking love wine, and this is where I should basically live and just drink wine all day and enjoy the mountains and cheese and everything else. But so this is the Golden Gate Bridge, obviously, and let me just say that every video and photograph that I've ever seen did not do this bridge any justice. It is way more beautiful in person than I ever imagined. So I loved it. I loved San Francisco and did not have very much time there, unfortunately, but it was such a beautiful city just surrounded by water, and love that freaking bridge. Anyway, so now we are actually at a really nice restaurant called Auberge des Soleil or something in French like that. We splurged on our lunch and some wine here for the beautiful views, and this hotel actually has a Michelin star restaurant that we couldn't afford, so we went to the bistro version, which was incredible and probably one of my favorite things from the trip. So then we get to our little vineyard. This is Pine Ridge Vineyards, and you can see all the grapes that they're growing here. And so we went on a little, I think it was like a 90-minute tour through, I want to call them dungeons, but I think it's called a cellar. So here's some of their wine barrels. It was a super cute vineyard. We did a little tasting of about, I think we got like 6 wines to try. Most of them were reds, which is great because red is my favorite. But this little cellar, it was actually very cool. I felt like I was on a movie set. It just felt unreal. That's a chandelier up there. So we finally sat down and we were about to do our tasting after we kind of got a little tour of the cellar. So we have a few cabs on there, which cab is basically my So then we made our way back to the Bay Area, and we saw pretty much our last Pacific Coast sunset with the Golden Gate Bridge in the background. And once again, I mean, it was amazing. So this is basically our last day in California, and we're gonna drive back down to LA to fly out. But this shot right here is of Lombard Street. So we're driving down this street, and it is so steep that they actually had to make the road a zigzag so that you could safely drive down it. So many of these streets in San Francisco are very steep, and some of them are practically vertical. So this is just some of our shots of the beautiful, beautiful San Francisco city. And then here I am showing you Alcatraz, which we could see from the top of, I can't remember what hill it is, but there it is, Alcatraz in all of its glory and wonder. So then we made one last pit stop at Land's End, which is on like the northwest end of San Francisco. And then from there we drove back to LA and saw one last little sunset. So